What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check update, the stimulus package update, daily news, pretty much everything going on here in our country, Washington, D.C., money, investing, the stock market, pretty much everything you need to know about. Remember, new videos come out here every day on our show at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new video updates. There's a lot going on in our country here today as they try to pass this next stimulus package. Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, has announced that they are going to continue using extraordinary measures despite the temporary debt ceiling hike that will go until early December. This is because, well, that's only a little bit over a month away, and Congress is going to have to pass another debt ceiling extension, or else we could see a government default. This is where the government will literally run out of money, the Treasury will run out of money, and, well, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen is not so confident of this and doesn't want to see the U.S. government run out of money, so she's already using extraordinary measures. Again, check this out. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen announced Monday that her department will continue to use extraordinary measures to prevent the accrual of debt after Congress provided, quote, only a temporary reprieve to a potential default. In a Monday letter to congressional leaders, Janet Yellen wrote that while a recent increase to the debt ceiling will likely keep the U.S. solvent through December 3rd, it is imperative that Congress act to increase or suspend the debt limit in a way that provides longer-term certainty that the government will satisfy all its debt obligations. She writes, I respectfully urge Congress to act to protect the full faith and credit of the United States. The Secretary says that the Treasury will continue to hold off on investments in the Civil Service Retirement and Disability Fund and the Postal Service Retiree Health Benefits Fund that are not required to fund benefits for certain recipients until the debt ceiling is increased or suspended beyond December 3rd. Also, Steny Hoyer, who is the House Majority Leader, one of the leaders of the Democrats in the House of Representatives, has signaled a vote in the House of Representatives to potentially remove the debt limit and literally get rid of it. They could be voting on that here sometime in the next few days. So that would be a huge, major deal. They could literally remove the debt limit and make it no longer be a thing. Now, whether or not that has enough votes to pass, the Democrats could pass that simply with just their votes in the House. I'm not sure how many votes they would need in the Senate. They could pass it through the reconciliation bill with 50 to 51 votes, but they would have to do that through the reconciliation package to bypass the 60 votes. They would have to do that through the stimulus package to do that with 50 to 51 votes. So I think they could get rid of the debt limit with the 50 to 51 votes, but they'd have to do it when the stimulus package passes. Just kind of trying to think through the law here on the fly. Again, I'm not a law scholar, but I do tend to know a lot about this situation because I cover it with you guys every single day. So I do think the Democrats can get rid of the debt limits on their own without any single Republican vote. The Republicans have wanted to get rid of the debt limit as well in the past, but right now they're kind of using it as a power position. Remember, former President Donald Trump has actually kind of urged Republicans to really use that power and use it against the Democrats as a power position as well. He's actually knocked Minority Leader Mitch McConnell for actually even caving, quote, caving to the Democrats. I don't think he caved to the Democrats. I think he did his job because we can't let the government default. But unfortunately, right after Mitch McConnell did his job and didn't let the government default, then Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer bashed him for doing his job, and then that has really kind of caused a rift between the Democrats and Republicans even further. And now the Republicans are saying they're not going to help the Democrats pass the debt limit again. And now the government is really at risk of defaulting this next time around. But the Democrats can pass it on their own through the stimulus package if the Democrats can agree and actually pass the stimulus package, which is kind of where Joe Manchin comes into play, because he's really one of the people they really need to get to agree to something. Which actually just yesterday, Senator Joe Manchin met with Senator Bernie Sanders and Democratic leader Pramila Jayapal just yesterday. And this is really big news because now Senator Joe Manchin is not just secluded off on his own in his own kind of little office. He can actually be face to face with Senator Bernie Sanders and Pramila Jayapal in negotiations. He has been in negotiations several times with President Joe Biden. And I think they're getting really close here to some negotiations. They actually came out of that negotiation with Bernie Sanders, and they actually kind of had some friendly conversations afterwards, which was surprising because they've been at each other's throats here for the last several days. In fact, here is Pramila Jayapal, leader of the Democratic Progressive Caucus, who's the leader of 96 Democrats in the House of Representatives, which is almost half of the Democrats in the House. She's literally probably the most important person in the House besides maybe Nancy Pelosi, the House Speaker. Here's what she has to say about that meeting with Joe Manchin. Check this out.
Joining us now is Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal. She is chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, and she has had quite a day. Congresswoman Jayapal, it's a real pleasure to have you here. Thanks for making time.
It's great to see you, Rachel.
So, again, I'm watching from the cheap seats, as is everybody in the country who is a stakeholder in this fight, who cares about this policy, who knows how transformative this bill would be if it passes, and even people who aren't invested in the policy, who just can't believe the drama and how this is spooling out across personalities and across time. What can you tell us about that meeting with Senator Manchin and how we should understand it in terms of whether this thing is going to get done?
Well, Rachel, I have said for some time that we're going to get them both done. We are going to get them done. It's a messy process. You know, democracy is not always easy. Negotiation is not always easy. There are differences. Everybody knows that there are differences. We got to bridge them and we got to come together, because at the end of the day, we have to deliver both these bills, the infrastructure bill and the Build Back Better Act, to the president's desk. I have always been happy to talk to anybody. It was great to spend time with Senator Manchin today. I'm not going to get into the details of what we talked about, but I just think it is important for us to be talking to each other. I felt that way for some time. And I think that those conversations are important to have, because we're not going to be able to make progress unless we all talk to each other. And so that's what today was about. Also, you know, meeting with the president and really, again, this is the president's agenda, and I am really proud of the Progressive Caucus for what we did to actually get the Build Back Better Act back onto the table and have us negotiating on it, have a real discussion around it. Because unlike the bipartisan bill, which you and I talked about, and I think we were both kind of skeptical, honestly, that it was going to get done, but it took 5 months and eventually it got done. But this also has really only been 2 weeks of negotiation. It's only since the Progressive Caucus said we're not going to do one without the other that we then were able to get people to take this negotiation seriously and come to the table. And that's what we're doing right now. I'm not saying it's going to, you know, I don't know that it's going to be done tomorrow, right? We're going to keep having these conversations. I'm back at the White House tomorrow with some of my progressive colleagues. I know the president's also doing another meeting with some of the other centrist Democrats. But this is important. And I do think it's important that the president himself has been really engaged, because as I've been saying on TV, I said it to him directly. He thanked me for this. It's the president's agenda. This is the agenda that Joe Biden ran on, the Democrats ran on. And now we have to deliver it, all of us. And he is at the center of that. And he is working very hard to get us to resolution.
Do you believe that Senator Manchin wants to pass the Build Back Better Act. You said at the very top of your remarks there that you believe that both of these things will pass. If he doesn't want Build Back Better to pass, it won't pass. Do you believe that he wants a bill and it's just a matter of finding what it is exactly that he can say yes to?
Yes, I do believe that. And I don't think he would have all those discussions if that wasn't the case. There are differences. Some of them have been reported in the papers. There are differences in terms of what our states. I mean, one of the things that's always interesting for me when when I'm talking to people that are from very different states is just to listen and hear. Okay, what is it like in your state, and vice versa. And so I think that is an important part of getting to understand where somebody's coming from in any negotiation that I've ever been in. And I think, obviously the main negotiations have been happening primarily between the two senators and the White House, and then between us and the White House. But this was an important step for us to listen to each other directly and to be able to say that, for example, for me to be able to say, yes, I do believe that Senator Manchin wants a bill to pass. Is it a different bill than the bill I want to pass? Yes. Are we going to get to some resolution? I believe so.
So she believes that Senator Joe Manchin is going to pass the bill. In fact, there's a lot of people. We've mentioned how Senator Joe Manchin has the lowest approval rating he's ever had in his state. I think it's around 40% at this moment, or even lower as new polls come out. In fact, check this out. A progressive coalition has just unveiled an ad to pressure Manchin on the Biden spending plan in his own state. Check this out. A coalition of progressive groups have unveiled a six-figure television advertising buy to ratchet up pressure on centrist Joe Manchin, Democratic senator who's blocking this bill or delaying this bill, to support the next stimulus package. The ad is focused on an estimated 30,000 new jobs that would be created in West Virginia if Biden's full human infrastructure spending plan passes. The West Virginia New Jobs Coalition, which is Joe Manchin's state, which is led by the West Virginia Citizens Action, the Sierra Club, and several West Virginia Working Families Party, announced the ad, which began airing on Sunday, targeted at Joe Manchin. It shows a montage of interviews with West Virginia residents talking about how difficult it is to earn a living in the Mountain State, Joe Manchin's state, where people have the second lowest per capita income in the country after Mississippi. One of the ad narrators points out that 60,000 people have left West Virginia in the past 5 years, while another states that, quote, Joe Manchin, we need permanent long-term jobs, and this whole state is depending on him to do something right. Quote, we've been phone banking for 6 months now, having West Virginians connect with Joe Manchin. We think that right now this is the critical moment where they're going to come to some kind of agreement, we hope. And we want to push Joe Manchin to go big, go bold, and deliver for West Virginia and for the rest of the country. Remember that in a lot of ways, people think that Senator Joe Manchin, and maybe Kirsten Sinema a little bit, but really mostly Joe Manchin, is potentially the one person maybe holding up this entire stimulus package and also having to reduce this package. But we've also had President Joe Biden say that after they pass this package, that we're going to get this package done, and then we're going to come back for the rest, was his quote. I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but President Biden said something to that effect, that we're going to pass this package, and then we're going to come back for the rest, which is alluding to the fact that the Democrats have basically confirmed that there will be another stimulus package after this, in the next coming months. The Democrats have another 12 months or so where they're still in charge of the Senate and the House until the next midterm elections, which will be in November of 2022, where they get to use the reconciliation cards. They just got more reconciliation cards on October 1st, which is the start of the new fiscal year. So yeah, they get 2 full years of in charge of the House and the Senate until the November 2022 elections. Remember that the Republicans also had 2 years as well, back in 2017 and 2018 when they passed the 2017 Trump tax cuts, which is the most notable bill that they passed with the reconciliation card or reconciliation process as well. Also in the news today, the FDA proposes a new rule to offer over-the-counter hearing aids so that people might be able to buy these at much more affordable prices. And Senator Elizabeth Warren applauds this. Check this out. The FDA is proposing a new rule to offer a new category of over-the-counter hearing aids in an attempt to boost accessibility and lower cost for the devices for Americans. The agency announced its proposal on Tuesday that would allow certain hearing aids to be sold directly to millions of adults who have perceived mild to moderate hearing loss once it's finalized. Under the updated rule, these patients could purchase specific air conduction devices in stores or online without undergoing a medical exam or fitting. Adults with severe hearing loss or children with any hearing loss would still need a prescription. Officials expect the proposed regulations to likely allow less costly hearing aids to be sold and available to the public, thus increasing competition in the market. For safety, the rule covers specific device performance and design requirements, including a maximum volume limit. So this would be really good. This would be for children, adults, all sorts of people, could be coming in the future. Remember that in this next stimulus package, they want to include hearing, vision, dental, and denture coverage as well, and hearing aid coverage for seniors, also called Medicare 2.0, new Medicare benefits for Medicare, and lower the Medicare eligibility age to age 60 if and when they pass the package. So they got to pass the package, and hearing aids could be included for tens of millions of seniors as well. Hearing aids are extremely, extremely expensive, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. But if they sell over-the-counter hearing aids, could be a lot cheaper for people that aren't or don't qualify for Medicare. Just people that aren't of age for Medicare, children, all sorts of things like that. So Senator Elizabeth Warren applauded the effort and said, great, it can help bring the cost down for everybody else. So there's a lot going on here in our country here today. Remember, we have a big push to include stimulus checks into this next stimulus package, in addition to the child monthly checks called the child tax credits of $250 to $300. Those are going to stop on December 15th. That'll be the last monthly check, which is less than 2 months away, if they can't pass this package. So those monthly checks will stop if they can't pass the package. There's also a big push to include $1,400 to $2,000 stimulus checks into this next package for adults as well. There's all sorts of things they want to put in this next stimulus package, but they're kind of jockeying for position on how much the package is going to be. Most likely it's looking to be somewhere around $2 to $2.5 trillion at this point, which will still be the largest stimulus package for President Biden. Remember his third stimulus check package, where he passed the $1,400 stimulus checks for adults, $1,400 stimulus checks for children, and $1,400 stimulus checks for adult dependents and college student dependents who didn't even get stimulus checks from the first and second time around, and the child tax credit payments, which were $250 to $300 per month, total of $3,000 to $3,600 per year. That was $1.9 trillion. That was $1.9 trillion. So anything in the $2 trillion range would still be more than that, just to give you a comparison of size. Former President Donald Trump's largest stimulus package was his first one, which was $2.3 trillion. $2.3 trillion. So we're still talking about a very big stimulus package. And remember that President Biden just said, like a few days ago, that let's just pass this package. He's very confident they're going to pass this package, and then they'll come back later for the rest. In the next one that the Democrats have basically confirmed, there will be another stimulus package after this. They'll come back and use the reconciliation package and probably add new things to it. So whatever they don't add into this package, they'll probably come back and do another package here a little bit later on and maybe add a check or anything to that later on down the road here. So I will keep you up to date with everything. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so you don't miss out on new updates. After subscribing, you can click the bell icon that appears next to the subscribe button so you get reminders when we go live with new videos, which is every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click this video here to watch my newest stimulus check video next. And this video here is how there's a big push to add $1,400 to $2,000 stimulus checks into the next stimulus package. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.